lot of you guys know me more as Shrek than Shrek, but that's who I am. So, I mean, to start off, I wasn't actually born here. I was born back in India. And back then, like, even back then, we, as a family, went to church. So I basically grew up my entire life, no matter where I was, in a church. But at 4 years old, we moved to Canada, and that was like a really life-changing thing. But with God's faith, we ended up finding a church called Rexdale Alliance Church, where I kind of created a second family with a bunch of the people there, and that was a real blessing for me, because they're the reason I'm still a Christian to the day. But jumping forward to when I actually really decided to become a Christian was somewhere around 12 or 13. It was actually a really stormy night, and I would do this thing where around 1 or 2 in the morning I'd end up sneaking out onto the roof of my house, and I'd kind of just lie there and just look up at the stars and just wonder. But that night it was raining, and the thunder was like no more than a kilometer away from where we were. So I was outside being me, and I don't know what happened, but something came over me, and I just decided to start singing praise songs and worship songs. And that night, I ended up spending about an hour out in the rain singing worship songs. And at the end of the night, I ended up praying to God, and I'm like, look, God, I know you're real, but you've given me all this stuff, and I don't know what entirely to do about it. So just help me out. Hear me out. Do something in my life to make it easier, essentially. And the next morning, it was like this weight, this burden that I've been carrying for the last 13 years was suddenly lifted. And I couldn't really explain it. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess God's real. Time to do what he's telling me to do. And so for the next 3 or 4 years, I ended up going to church. And by that time, I was in grade 10. And so I ended up going, well, there was the missions trip, as we would call it, but it was more of just running a day camp up at Shigang, which you guys know of. And so one of my leaders suggested I should go and apply for it. And so I did, and I expected it to be like running any day camp down here like I've been going to for the past 10 years. And when I got up there, it was nothing like being down here. The kids weren't the same, the program wasn't the same, everything was so different. But the thing about that is that being here, it was like God was just always around, but up there it was like we really had to be in the Word and praying and doing things for God to keep us safe and keep us sheltered and help us get through each day. And getting back from that, I realized like it was just a renewed faith for me, and so I decided to get baptized that summer. And so then I did that, and then my youth pastor at the time asked me to also become a youth leader at Rexdale. And so I did, but I mean, I was still a kid back then, so I made a bunch of mistakes, and a lot of stuff happened. And I ended up being kicked out of the youth, and essentially every other position or role that I was playing in the church, they slowly, one by one, knocked me down. And in that time, it was just like, God, where are you? Like, I messed up, but why are you doing this to me? Why are you bringing me down to such a low level? And if that wasn't enough, like, I ended up being depressed since September of that year. And so little by little, I started to essentially disappear from the world. So by, I want to say, February of 2012, no one saw me for more than 5 minutes a day, if that. And I don't know, it was just like a really dark time. It felt like God was miles and miles and miles and miles away. And I was just that kid who God forgot about. And that kind of continued on until about January of 2013, when my friend called me over. He's like, yo, bro, I wrote a song. I need some help, though. I can't finish it. You need to come over and help me. And so music was one of the only things that actually got me out of the house, so I decided I'd go and join him. And upon getting there, we wrote this song really quickly, and then we started doing some gaming. But close to the end of the night, he's like, yo, let's just vibe some music. So I'm like, all right. And this song, Take Me Into the Holy of Holies by Cutlass, we decided to play it. And at the very end of the song, there was a Bible quote scripture thing. It was, in this world I will give you tribulations, but take heart, for I have And that kind of renewed my faith. It's like, yeah, you're going to have hard times, but so what? I'm bigger than anything you can imagine. I've dealt with the worst of the worst, and I'm still here. So what are you worrying about? And that's basically what God said to me in that verse. And since then, it's been a very, very, very slow climb back up to being where I am today. And I still consider myself short of what I should be. But God seems to think that I'm doing what he's doing. And so here I am doing all this stuff. And I'm